July 19, 1942, 47 kilometers southwest of Voronezh. The air is thick with smoke and the sharp tang of burnt metal. The sun is sinking, painting the horizon with streaks of red and orange, but there is no warmth here, only the acrid heat of burning steel and charred earth. Obergefreiter Klaus Hartmann crouches beside his 15 centimeters Pak-38, his hands black with oil and gunpowder. Around him, 3 German Panzer IVs lie in ruin, their hulls smoking, twisted by the unrelenting fire of Soviet cannons. The battlefield is quiet now, but the silence is a lie. Just hours ago, his unit had unleashed 26 rounds at the T-34s they faced, 26, and not a single penetration. Each shell had bounced off like pebbles against stone. 4 of his comrades had been vaporized in the blink of an eye, obliterated by a single 76mm shot from a T-34. Hartmann had survived only because he had been 3 meters away fetching ammunition. He wipes the barrel of his gun with methodical precision, each motion automatic, learned from countless drills. Yet his eyes are drawn elsewhere. About 50 meters away, partially hidden behind a low rise, sits a destroyed T-34, its metal blackened and crumpled. It had been hit the night before by a 250-kilogram bomb from a German Stuka. Dead, cold, lifeless. Yet something about it pulls at Hartmann, a subtle, instinctive curiosity, a flicker of unease he cannot name. The T-34 is a monster. He knows that. Every German soldier on the Eastern Front knows that. Introduced in 1940, it has reshaped armored warfare. 28 tons of steel, a powerful V2 diesel engine, speed unmatched across rugged terrain. But its true terror lies in its armor, sloped, resilient, nearly impenetrable. German shells from 50 meters away had proven worthless. Even the feared 7.5 centimeters guns on their Panzer IVs struggled to pierce it beyond 400 meters, while the T-34 76mm gun cut through German armor like butter. Hartmann rises, his gun clean, curiosity outweighing caution. He moves across the churned earth toward the wreck, each step kicking up dust that smells faintly of burnt oil. As he approaches, the T-34 dominates his view, immense and almost alive in its destruction. He runs his hand along the blackened metal. It's still warm despite having burned for 24 hours. He circles the tank, studying the scarred armor, tracing the marks where German shells had ricocheted, powerless. Then his eyes lock onto something peculiar. At the junction where the side armor meets the turret ring, a seam catches his attention, ordinary on any tank. But this one is different. Hartmann crouches, drawing his field knife. He scratches at the soot-covered seam. His fingers detect a subtle irregularity. The armor plates are not perfectly aligned. There is a step, a small offset. The turret ring is thinner than the main armor. Where the side plates meet, Hartmann estimates, it could be only 35 to 40 millimeters thick, less than the frontal armor of his own Panzer IV. Heart hammering, he moves to the other side. The same design, the same offset. Not damage, not chance. A deliberate construction feature. His mind races. Could a 5 centimeters pack shell penetrate here? At what distance? Memories of ballistic tables flash in his mind. At 400 meters, the Pak-38 could pierce 50 to 55 millimeters of armor. This could work. This might actually work. He sprints back to the German line, urgency in every step. He finds Hauptmann Steiner and interrupts a discussion over a map. "Sir, you need to see this. I think I've found a weak point in the T-34. Steiner frowns but recognizes Hartmann's seriousness. Together, they return to the wreck. Hartmann points out the seam, explaining the offset and the thinner metal. Steiner kneels, flashlight flickering over the steel, inspecting every angle. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes are sharp. After long moments, he looks up. "If you're right," he says slowly, "this could save hundreds of lives." The men gather the next morning, measuring, testing, confirming Hartmann's observation. The seam at the turret ring, the weak spot, is real. 37 millimeters of vertical armor exposed to the side. Precise fire could penetrate it, even from several hundred meters. The implications are monumental. Tactical manuals are rewritten, Crews briefed. Flank, wait, aim for the seam, and survive. And then the first test comes. 3 T-34s approach in formation, unaware of the hidden German pack guns. Hartmann lies low, counting the seconds, hearing the roar of diesel engines and the rumble of treads through the earth. The first shot misses, striking the track. The second hits the turret ring directly. Smoke erupts. The tank halts, unable to continue. Over the next minutes, the Germans execute the tactic perfectly. Flank shots, precision fire, 1 T-34 after another disabled or destroyed. In just 14 minutes, 7 enemy tanks are neutralized. Hartmann watches, exhausted but alive, as the battlefield's tide shifts with single, careful observation. His discovery didn't destroy the T-34. It revealed that even the mighty can be vulnerable when someone notices what others overlook. The sun climbs, casting its harsh light over the scorched field. Hartmann's mind lingers on the lives saved by a small, quiet insight. The T-34 will remain formidable, fast, and lethal, but now the Germans know its limits. And Hartmann knows something deeper. Survival in war isn't just about courage or firepower. Sometimes it's about seeing what no one else sees. July 20th, 1942. Dawn creeps over the frozen fields near Voronezh, the first gray light revealing a landscape still scarred by yesterday's chaos. Hartmann hasn't slept. His mind races, replaying every detail of the T-34 seam, calculating ranges, angles, and chances of success. Beside him, Hauptmann Steiner, Oberleutnant Brenner, and Major Kraus inspect the destroyed tank again, now armed with calipers, notebooks, and a disciplined focus. Steiner examines the seam where turret meets hull, sliding the caliper over the metal with careful precision. Hartmann watches silently, hands clasped behind his back. The tension in the air is almost tangible. Every so often, a faint rumble from distant artillery reminds him of the stakes. They're not just studying a tank. They're confronting the reason 4 men died yesterday, why so many pack crews have been decimated. 37 millimeters, Steiner mutters, pointing at the thin patch. Vertical, exposed. A pack 38 could penetrate this, at 4, maybe 500 meters. Brenner shakes his head in disbelief. That's a target smaller than your thumb. Who could hit that under fire? Hartmann swallows, but his voice is steady. Not easier than charging head-on at AT-34, hoping it doesn't kill you first. The men move quickly, setting up a controlled test with the second destroyed T-34 400 meters west. The Pack 38 is positioned in a flanking formation, camouflaged behind a low ridge. Hartmann stands close, watching the crew load shells, the tension in the air so thick it presses against his chest. Gefreiter Wolf, an experienced gunner, peers through the sight, waiting for Steiner's subtle command. The first round erupts with a sharp crack, a thunderous roar that shakes the earth beneath them. The shell flies, a streak of steel against a morning light, striking the tank's side, but not quite the seam. A metallic screech answers the impact. Hartmann runs alongside Steiner, counting the seconds. The second shell follows, aimed precisely at the seam. Sparks fly, metal shears under impact, and smoke curls from the hole. Penetration confirmed. The third round extends the test. From 600 meters, the shell hits the seam, but the armor resists. The limit is clear. They now know the boundaries. Knowledge that can mean life or death for countless crews still facing the T-34. Reports are filed, tactics rewritten. Flank attacks become doctrine. The German crews are trained to wait, to observe, to fire with precision. The battlefield is transformed. By the end of the week, the strategy proves its worth. Soviet tank columns that once seemed unstoppable are now vulnerable. German gunners disabled T-34s with targeted strikes, avoiding the deadly frontal armor, and lives are saved. Yet, the war moves relentlessly forward. The Soviets adapt. Smoke screens obscure lines of sight. Tank formations shift unpredictably, and engineers begin reinforcing turret rings. Hartmann's discovery, while groundbreaking, is a temporary advantage, a fleeting window in the brutal exchange of attack and counterattack. The T-34, formidable as ever, evolves in response, becoming even harder to defeat. Hartmann himself continues at the front. He survives the battles around Voronezh, witnessing the devastating human cost of war. He loses friends, watches towns burn, sees tanks destroyed and crews lost, all while carrying the quiet weight of what he uncovered. Every precise shot, every tactic, every calculation is underscored by the memory of those who did not survive. By the end of July, the impact of Hartmann's insight is undeniable. German anti-tank units report dozens of disabled T-34s, their losses drastically reduced. Tactical manuals circulate through the 6th Army, detailing flank attacks and the critical turret ring target. Hartmann is promoted, recognized quietly for his observation, for noticing what no one else had. But the soldier himself feels no triumph. He knows the T-34 remains deadly, and that every moment of advantage is temporary. War is a series of fleeting opportunities, each measured against the relentless toll of loss and survival. Hartmann's lesson is simple but profound. Even the seemingly invincible has a vulnerability, if only someone takes the time to see it. The front shifts, autumn approaches. New T-34s roll into position, upgraded with reinforced turret rings, a response to the German discoveries. Yet in those critical weeks, Hartmann's insight saved hundreds of lives, reshaping German anti-tank tactics. The war continues, a deadly dialogue of adaptation, precision, and human observation. And through it all, Klaus Hartmann learns another truth. Victory isn't just about firepower. It's about patience, attention to detail, and the courage to act on what others overlook. One soldier, one observation, one careful study of a steel seam. Sometimes that is enough to tip the scales, even in the chaos of war. The weeks following Hartmann's discovery are a blur of preparation and testing. German crews practice tirelessly, learning to spot the faint outline of the turret ring, to hold fire until the T-34 exposes its flank. Each shell loaded, each calculated pause, is a step toward survival. The battlefield has changed subtly but dramatically. Patience and precision replace brute force. By mid-August, the effects are undeniable. German reports tally dozens of disabled T-34s. Casualties among packed crews drop. Soldiers whisper about the seam, about the miracle that gives them a fighting chance. Hartmann remains quiet, methodical, observing rather than boasting. He understands that luck is fickle, that any advantage could vanish with single miscalculation. Yet he also feels the weight of responsibility, the knowledge that one overlooked detail saved lives that would otherwise have been lost. Back at the 6th Army headquarters, the officers compile reports and pass them up the chain. Major Kraus oversees the implementation of Hartmann's tactic across multiple sectors. Steiner trains younger officers, demonstrating exactly where to aim, how to conceal, how to wait. Maps are marked, target zones noted, and the subtle art of flanking attacks becomes part of standard procedure. Hartmann himself continues at the front, moving with his unit as the fighting shifts towards Stalingrad. The city looms like a fortress of stone and steel, its streets echoing with artillery and machine gun fire. Every day is a test of endurance, courage, and instinct. Hartmann sees comrades fall, tanks explode, smoke and dust blinding the eyes. Yet through the chaos, he notices details others miss. A seam, a weak weld, a pattern in the enemy's formation. Observation has become his weapon. In September, the Soviets adapt. Reinforced turret rings appear on new T-34s, and old tanks are retrofitted with steel plates. Smoke and concealment tactics make flanking shots harder. The window Hartmann discovered begins to close. But the weeks that remain open have already altered the course of battles. German crews gain confidence, knowing that precision and patience can neutralize what once seemed unstoppable. By late autumn, Hartmann is ordered back to Germany. His role shifts from frontline soldier to instructor at the Panzerwehrschule in Dobritz. There, he trains young gunners in the science of observation, the art of targeting vulnerabilities, and the discipline of waiting for the perfect shot. He teaches them that no machine, no matter how formidable, is invincible. Every armor plate has a weakness. Every system can be outmaneuvered. Hartmann's teachings are recorded, studied, and integrated into German military doctrine. Analysts dissect captured Soviet tanks, mapping weak points, noting construction flaws, and developing strategies to exploit them. The lessons learned from one destroyed T-34 ripple across the front, a testament to the power of careful observation and decisive action. When the war finally ends, Klaus Hartmann returns to Lübeck. He resumes a quiet life as an engineer, rarely speaking of the battles he survived. In his papers and photographs, however, the story endures. A young soldier beside his packed .38, examining a steel seam, seeing what others could not. On the back of one photograph is scrawled, "The man who saw the T-34 secret." Hartmann did not defeat the T-34. He revealed its vulnerability, reminding the world and his comrades that even the seemingly invincible can be challenged. One soldier's attention to detail, one careful observation on a hot afternoon on the Eastern Front saved countless lives. That is his legacy.